Beep beep everybody. Hope you're all having a great day. Thanks so much for tuning into the channel. Today's video is going to honor players that passed away in 2024. This is the first of two parts. We're covering players with surnames that began with the letter A through J. The next video, which will be posted in a couple days, will be for players that's their names started with K through Z. For this video, I'm using baseball cards that I have in my own collection and baseball cards that I purchased through the year of 2024 up through late January of 2025 so that I could have a card for each and every player. The reason why this is getting posted in February is because many announcements for many of these players didn't arrive onto baseballreference.com until late January. So I tried to do this as late as I possibly could so that we could get everyone that passed away into these videos. So let's start it off. But before we go, I want to say rest in peace to these players and my condolences to their families and friends. And we're going to begin with Hank Allen. And this is Hank on his 1970 Topps card. Hank passed away on May 29 at the age of 83. He played outfield, was a pinch hitter, and also played third base. He played from 1966 to 1970, and then in 72 to 73 for the Washington Senators, Milwaukee Brewers, and Chicago White Sox. He played in 389 games, hitting .241. He played in the minors from 1960 to 1974, hitting 134 home runs. He was the brother of both Dick and Ron Allen. After his career, he became a successful horse trainer and later a scout for the Brewers and Astros. Our next player is Brandt Allier, also pictured on his 1970 Topps card. Brandt passed away on February 4 at the age of 83. He was a left fielder and a pinch hitter. He played in 1965 and then 1968 to 72 with the Senators, Twins, Oakland A's, and St. Louis Cardinals. He played in 371 games, hitting .247. His best season was in 1970 when he hit .291 with 16 homers and 61 RBIs in 94 games. And he also hit a home run on the very first pitch he saw in Major League Baseball. He played in the minors from 1962 to 1973, hitting 162 home runs. Prior to baseball, he attended Hofstra College on a basketball scholarship. After his baseball career, he was a pit boss at an Atlantic City casino and then worked for a car dealership near Philadelphia. Our next player is Kuno Barragan on his 1962 Topps card. Kuno passed away on May 12, 2024 at the age of 91. He was a catcher, played from 1961 to 1963 for the Cubs. He played in 69 games, hitting .202. He played in the minors from 1953 to 1963 with 2 years serving in the U.S. Navy. He hit his only Major League Baseball home run in his first at-bat. While in the minors during the offseason, he obtained a degree in physical education from Sacramento State College in 1960. After his career, he became an insurance agent. Our next player is Norm Bass on his 1962 Topps card. Norm passed away on June 15 at the age of 85. He was both a starter and relief pitcher. He played from 1961 to 63 for the Kansas City Athletics. He compiled a 13-17 record with a 5.32 ERA in 65 games. He played in the minors from 1958 to 1965. In 1964, he played safety for the Denver Broncos. Arthritis cut short both his baseball and football careers. He took up table tennis in the 1970s and became a ranked player in his age group. He played for the U.S. Paralympic table tennis team in 1998 and won a bronze medal at the 2000 Paralympic Games in Sydney, Australia. Our next player is Kevin Batiste, pictured here on his 1990 Upper Deck card. Kevin passed away April the 2nd, 2024 at the age of 57. He was an outfielder and pinch runner. Played only in 1989 for the Blue Jays. He only played in 6 games, hitting .250 with 2 hits and 8 at-bats. He played in the minors from 1985 to 1990 and later played football at the University of Houston before he passed away. He was an umpire for the Galveston County Umpires Association. Our next player is John Baumgartner, and this is a custom-made card. John did not have an official card during his playing career. He passed away September 25, 2024 at the age of 93. He played third base in 1953 with the Detroit Tigers. He only played in 7 games, hitting .185. He played in the minors from 1950 to 55, and he also pitched in 10 games in his last season in the minors, going 2-6 with a 5.02 ERA. After baseball, he was in sales for the Buxton Company, a maker of billfolds and purses. He then became vice president of Tractor Trailer Company in charge of repairs before retiring to his 60-acre farm in 1993. Our next player is Billy Beane, pictured here on his 1988 Topps card. Billy passed away on August 6 at the age of 60. He was an outfielder, pinch hitter, and first baseman. He played from 1987 to 1989, later in 93 to 95 for the Tigers, Dodgers, and Padres. He played in 272 games, hitting .226. Played in the minors from 1986 to 1995, including a short stint in Japanese League in 1992. He has a degree in business administration from Loyola Marymount University. In 1999, Billy came out in a New York Times article that he was gay, becoming the second player to do so after Glenn Burke. He became Major League Baseball's first ambassador for inclusion in 2014, a job that provided training and guidance on diversity issues linked to sexual orientation. In 2016, he was promoted to Vice President for Social Responsibility and Inclusion and became a special assistant to Commissioner Rob Manfred in 2017, in charge of Major League Baseball's anti-bullying efforts. He passed away after an 11-month battle with leukemia. Our next player is Brent Billingsley, pictured on his 1998 Bowman card. Let me straighten that up. Brent passed away December 25 at the age of 49. He was a relief pitcher in 1999 with the Florida Marlins. He only pitched in 8 games with a 16.43 ERA, played in the minors from 1996 to 2000. He went to East Carolina University on a baseball scholarship before transferring to Cal State Fullerton. After his career, he spent the next 18 years coaching high school baseball. Our next player is Doug Bird, pictured on his 1974 Topps card. Doug passed away September 24 at the age of 74. He was a relief and starting pitcher from 1973 to 1983. He played for the Royals, Phillies, Yankees, Cubs, and Red Sox. He compiled a 73-60 record over 432 games with 60 career saves, including a high of 20 in his rookie season. He appeared in 6 championship series games for the Royals, going 1-1 with a 2.35 ERA. After his career, he managed a gym in the Fort Myers area of Florida that he later converted into a business called Line Drive Baseball, where he gave pitching lessons and offered free batting cage time to underprivileged and special needs children. He later worked for the Cape Coral Parks and Recreation Department and oversaw the city's adult athletic programs. Our next player is Bob Blaylock, pictured here on his 1959 Topps card. Bob passed away September 1 at the age of 89. He was a relief and starting pitcher in 1956 and 1959 for the Cardinals. He compiled a 1-7 record with a 5.94 ERA in 17 games. Played in the minors from 1953 to 1962. After his playing career, he managed the Saratoga Hotel and owned Saratoga Restaurant in Tulsa, Oklahoma, retiring in 1991. He coached youth baseball well into his 70s. Our next player is Mark Bradley, pictured on his 1984 Topps card. Mark passed away December 30 at the age of 68. He was an outfielder and pinch hitter from 1981 to 83 with the Dodgers and Mets. He played in 90 games, hitting .204. He played in the minors from 1975 to 1984. In the minors, he stole 50 or more bases twice and hit over 304 different seasons. Our next player is Jim Brady, pictured here on his 1956 Topps card. Jim passed away August 18 at the age of 88. He was a relief pitcher in 1956 for the Detroit Tigers. He pitched in a total of 6 games with an ERA of 28.42. He played in the minors from 1956 to 58 and later in 60 and 61. He was signed out of his freshman year at Notre Dame. After his baseball career, he returned to Notre Dame and earned his master's and PhD. He taught economics and was the baseball coach at Old Dominion University. He later became Dean of Arts and Sciences at Jacksonville University and then became the school's president in 1990. Our next player is Larry Brown, pictured on his 1966 Topps card. Larry passed away April 13 at the age of 84. He played shortstop, second base, and third base. He played from 1963 to 1974 for the Indians, Oakland A's, Baltimore Orioles, and Texas Rangers. In 1,129 games, he hit .233. He was Cleveland's regular shortstop for several seasons in the 1960s and was known as a great fielder. After his playing career, he became an avid tennis player and devised a specialized tennis visor that he patented and started a small business called Sun Shader Hats, producing and selling them for almost 2 decades. Our next player is Mike Brumley, pictured here on his 1990 Topps card. Mike passed away June 15 at the age of 62 in a car accident. He was a shortstop, second baseman, and third baseman, playing in 1987 and then 1989 to 1995. He played for the Cubs, Tigers, Mariners, Red Sox, Astros, and Athletics. He played in 295 games, hitting .206, mostly as a utility infielder. He played in the minors from 1983 to 1996. He was the son of catcher Mike Brumley, who played in the 1960s. After his playing career, he managed in the minors for the Diamondbacks, Angels, and Dodgers, was a minor league bunting instructor for the White Sox, a minor league field coordinator for the Rangers, a third base coach for the Mariners, assistant hitting coach for the Cubs, and a minor league hitting coordinator for the Braves. Our next player is Sean Burroughs, pictured here on his 2006 Topps card. He passed away May 9 at the age of 43 from a fentanyl intoxication. He played third base from 2002 to 2006 and 2011 to 2012 for the Padres, Devil Rays, Diamondbacks, and Minnesota Twins. He played in 528 games, hitting .278. He was the son of Jeff Burroughs, a slugger from the 1970s and 80s. He was the star of 2 Little League teams that won titles when he was 11 and 12. He was on Team USA in the 2000 Olympics, winning the gold and becoming the first former Little League player to have done this. During the 5-year gap in his career, he battled alcohol problems but overcame them to briefly return to the majors in 2011 and 2012. He was a Little League coach at the time of his death. Our next player is Rico Carty, pictured here on his 1967 Topps card. Rico passed away November 23 at the age of 85. He played left field, DH, and first base from 1963 to 67, 69 to 70, and 72 to 79 for the Milwaukee and Atlanta Braves, Texas Rangers, Cubs, Athletics, Indians, and Toronto Blue Jays. He played 1,651 games, hitting .299 with 204 career homers, 1,677 hits. He was second for Rookie of the Year voting in 1964, hitting .330. He was named to the All-Star game in 1970, where he led the National League with a .366 batting average and .454 on-base percentage, and had a career-high 101 RBIs. At the age of 38 in 1978, he had a career-high 31 homers, which at that time set a new record for designated hitters. After retiring, he remained active in the game at home in the Dominican Republic. He was inducted into the Caribbean Baseball Hall of Fame in 1996 and the Latino Baseball Hall of Fame in 2011. Our next player is Orlando Cepeda, pictured here on his 1961 Topps card. Orlando passed away June 28 at the age of 86. He played first base and left field from 1958 to 1974 for the Giants, Cardinals, Braves, Athletics, Red Sox, and Royals. He played in 2,124 games, hitting .297 with 2,351 hits, 379 homers, 1,131 runs, 1,365 RBIs. He won the Rookie of the Year in 1958, hitting .312, leading the National League with 38 doubles. He was second in MVP voting in 1961, where he led the league with career highs with 46 homers and 142 RBIs. He won the National League MVP in 1967, hitting a career-high .325 and leading the league with 111 RBIs, helping the Cardinals to a World Series victory. He was the first recipient of the Designated Hitter of the Year award in 1973 with the Red Sox. He was named to 12 All-Star games. He struggled with personal issues after his retirement from baseball, but was able to turn his life around and became a humanitarian ambassador for the Giants for over 25 years. In 1999, he was selected to the Hall of Fame by the Veterans Committee. Our next player is Harry Chappas, pictured here on his 1980 Topps card. Harry passed away September 15, 2024 at the age of 66. He played shortstop for the White Sox from 1978 to 1980. He played in 72 games, hitting .245. He played in the minors from 1976 to 83, and for a brief moment, White Sox owner Bill Veeck used Chappas as a gimmick, citing his height as only 5'3", but in reality he was 5'7". Chappas was known for his hobbies of raising finches and building model airplanes. Following his playing days, he became a fan and player of Highlight, which is a sport from the Basque country over in Europe. Our next player is Nelson Chittum, pictured here on his 1960 Topps card. Nelson passed away July 15 at the age of 91. He was a relief pitcher from 1958 to 1960 for the Cardinals and Red Sox. He compiled a 3-1 record with a 3.84 ERA. Played in the minors from 1956 to 64. Before playing baseball, he served in the Army during the Korean War. After his playing career, he worked for RCA, then managed a clothing store, and finally worked for the Postal Service as a postal inspector. Our next player is Bob Klupsa, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I've also seen it pronounced Klupsa and Chalupsa. He is the player on the left portion of this card. Bob passed away July 17 at the age of 78. He was a relief pitcher from 1970 to 71 for the St. Louis Cardinals. He compiled an 0-2 record with an 8.84 ERA. Played in the minors from 1967 to 73. Went to Manhattan College and excelled at both baseball and basketball. He was drafted by the NBA in 1967 but chose to play baseball. After his playing career, he worked in sales and marketing. He coached Little League Baseball as well as basketball for many years. Our next player is Rocky Colavito, pictured here on his 1957 Topps card. Rocky passed away December 10 at the age of 91. He was a right fielder from 1955 to 1968 for the Indians, Tigers, Kansas City Athletics, White Sox, Dodgers, and Yankees. He played in 1,841 games, hitting .266 with 1,730 hits, 374 homers, 1,159 RBIs. He was named to 9 All-Star games. He led the league with a .620 slugging average in 1958. He tied Harmon Killebrew for the league lead with 42 homers in 1959. He had 3 seasons of 40-plus homers. He led the league with 108 RBIs in 1965 and had 6 seasons of 100-plus RBIs, including a career high of 140 in 1961. He pitched twice during his career, scoreless 3 innings in 1958 and another scoreless 2 2/3 innings in 1968, which resulted in him getting the win. After retiring, he worked as a TV analyst for the Indians and for a couple of years as a coach. He later was a coach for the Royals in 1982 to 1983 and became a mushroom farmer for many years later. Our next player is Doug Creek. He is pictured here on his 2003 Topps Total card. Doug passed away July 28 at the age of 55. He was a relief pitcher from 1995 to 97, 99 to 2003, and 2005. He played for the Cardinals, Giants, Cubs, Devil Rays, Mariners, Blue Jays, and Tigers. He compiled a 7-14 record with a 5.32 ERA over 279 games. After his playing career, he started a fishing charter business in Florida. He later moved to Maryland and became a high school baseball coach. Our next player is Mike Cubbage, pictured here on his 1979 Topps card. He passed away August 10 at the age of 74. He played third base, first base, and second base from 1974 to 81 for the Rangers, Twins, and Mets. He played in 703 games, hitting .258. After his playing career, he managed in the minors for the Mets, then was a coach for them from 1990 to 96, including a 7-game spell as a manager in 1991. He was the Astros' third base coach from 97 to 2000, their bench coach in 2001. He coached for the Red Sox from 2002 to 2003, then became a scout for the Devil Rays. In 2015 to 19, he was a special assistant to the general manager of the Nationals. Our next player is Bud Daly, pictured here on his 1960 Topps card. Bud passed away October 15 at the age of 92. He was a starting and relief pitcher from 1955 to 64 for the Indians, Kansas City A's, and New York Yankees. He compiled a 60-64 record with a 4.03 ERA over 248 games. His best season was in 1959, where he went 16-13 with a 3.16 ERA. He was named to 4 All-Star games. He pitched 8 scoreless innings, helping the Yankees win 2 World Series in 1961 and 62. After his career, he and his wife owned a lawn sprinkler company in Wyoming. Our next player is Pete Daly, pictured here on his 1959 Topps card. Pete passed away August 22nd at the age of 94. He was a catcher from 1955 to 1961 for the Red Sox, Kansas City A's, and Washington Senators. He played in 391 games, hitting .239. While with Kansas City in 1960, when he caught games with Bud Daly, who we just did here, no relationship, on the mound, it was referred to as the Daly Double. After baseball, he managed a bowling alley in the Boston area, then became a salesman of health and beauty aids in the Los Angeles area. Our next player is Jose De Leon, pictured here on his 1986 Topps card. Jose passed away February 25 at the age of 63. He was a starting pitcher from 1983 to 1995 for the Pirates, White Sox, Cardinals, Phillies, and Expos. He compiled an 86-119 record with a 3.76 ERA in 415 games. His best season was in 1989 when he had a 16-12 record with a 3.05 ERA and led the league with 201 strikeouts. In 1997 and 98, he played baseball in China, and he was elected to the Dominican Sports Hall of Fame in 2011. Our next player is Larry Demery, Pictured here on his 1978 Topps card, Larry passed away February 15 at the age of 70. He was a starting and relief pitcher from 1974 to 77 for the Pittsburgh Pirates. He compiled a 29-23 record with 3.72 ERA in 139 games. His career was shortened by a number of injuries. I was unable to find any details of his life after baseball. The next player is Jack DeLauro, pictured here on his 1970 Topps card. Jack passed away on December 7 at the age of 81. He was a relief pitcher from 1969 to 1970 for the Mets and Astros. He compiled a 2-7 record with a 3.05 ERA in 65 games. Played in the minors from 1963 to 1972. After his playing career, he became a district manager of a sporting goods company. Our next player is Gary Dotter, pictured here on the left on his 1965 Topps card. Gary passed away July 27 at the age of 81. He was a relief pitcher in 1961 and then 63 to 64, all for the Twins. Over those 3 seasons, he only pitched in 7 games with a 5.11 ERA in 12 1/3 innings. He played in the minors from 1960 to 67. After his playing career, he had a business career in the fields of computing, bookkeeping, and accounting. Our next player is Carl Erskine, pictured here on his 1958 Topps card. He passed away April 16 at the age of 97. He was a starting pitcher from 1948 to 59 for both the Brooklyn and Los Angeles Dodgers. He compiled a 122-78 record with a 4.00 ERA. His best season was in 1953, where he went 20-6 with a 3.54 ERA and a career-high 187 strikeouts. He was named to 1 All-Star game, played in 5 World Series, having a 2-2 record with 5.83. He pitched 2 no-hitters. He was a close friend of Jackie Robinson. After his playing career, he became a successful businessman in banking and insurance. With more than 4 decades as a volunteer, he was awarded the Special Olympics' highest honor, the Spirit of the Special Olympics. In 2023, he was awarded the Buck O'Neil Lifetime Achievement Award. Our next player is John Felsky, pictured here on his 1986 Topps card. John passed away November 30 at the age of 82. He was a catcher and first baseman, playing in 1968 and later in 72 and 73 for the Cubs and Brewers. He played in 54 games, hitting 135. He played in the minors from 1962 to 72. Following his playing career, he managed in the minors in the 1970s for the Brewers, was a bullpen coach for the Blue Jays in 80 and 81. He returned to the minors with the Phillies, then was a coach for their 1984 team before becoming their manager from 1985 to 87. Our next player is Al Ferrara, pictured here on his 1970 Topps card. Al passed away November 15 at the age of 84. He was an outfielder and pinch hitter, playing in 1963 and then 65 to 71 for the Dodgers, Padres, and Reds. He played in 574 games, hitting .259. He learned classical piano as a child and played a recital at Carnegie Hall when he was 16. During his playing career while with the Dodgers, he made appearances on the TV series Batman and Gilligan's Island. After his playing days, he became a greeter at the Martoni Marquis on Sunset Strip, made an appearance on the TV series Baretta, appeared in 2 horror movies, Mansion of the Doomed and Dracula's Dog. He later started his own home improvement company called Major League Construction, which he ran for 30 years. After this, he worked in the community relations department for the Dodgers. Our next player is Don Furrissy, pictured on his 1960 Topps card. He passed away November 4th at the age of 95. He was a starting and relief pitcher from 1955 to 1962. With the Orioles, Indians, White Sox, Phillies, and Cardinals, he compiled a 19-36 record with a 4.00 ERA in 183 games. He shares one hitting record with Babe Ruth, being one of the only pitchers to hit 3 doubles in a row. After his playing career, he partnered with his father and operated an Italian delicatessen. He also became the head coach for Victor Valley College's baseball team. He then began a real estate career and started a foundation that donated to numerous charities. He was also an in-demand wine auctioneer raising money for charity. Our next player is Mike Ferraro, pictured here on his 1983 Topps Traded card. Mike passed away July 20 at the age of 79. He was a third baseman playing from 1966, 1968 to 69, and 1972 for the Yankees, Seattle Pilots, and Milwaukee Brewers. He played in 162 games, hitting .232. He played in the minors from 62 to 73. After his playing career, he became a minor league manager for the Yankees, then a third base coach for them from 79 to 82. He was the Cleveland Indians manager for part of 1983. He joined the Royals coaching staff in 84, helping them win the 85 World Series, and then took over the manager's role in 1986 after Dick Howser was diagnosed with a brain tumor. He returned to the Yankees for 1987 to 91 and spent 93 as the Orioles' third base coach. Our next player is Dan Fife, pictured here on his 1974 Topps card. Dan was a starting and relief pitcher. He passed away May 30 at the age of 74. He was a starting and relief pitcher from 73 to 74 for the Twins. He compiled a 3-2 record with 5.43 ERA in 14 games. He played in the minors from 1971 to 75. He was also a successful basketball player and was once drafted by the Milwaukee Bucks in the NBA. After his playing career, he was an assistant basketball coach at the University of Michigan and then had a 36-year run as basketball coach of Clarkston High School, winning 703 games, 29 league titles, 30 district titles, and 13 regionals. He was inducted into the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame in 2019. Our next player is Al Fitzmaurice, pictured here on his 1974 Topps card. Al passed away December 4 at the age of 78. He was a starting pitcher from 1969 to 1978 for the Royals, Indians, and Angels. He compiled a 77-59 record with 3.65 ERA in 288 games. His 1974 to 76 seasons were his best, where he went 13-6, 2.69, 16-12, 3.57, and 15-11, 3.06. After his playing career, he hosted pregame and postgame reports on Royals radio broadcast. He fronted a rock band called 39, which was named after his uniform number. He did charity work and worked in his son's roofing business. Our next player is Hank Foiles, pictured here on his 1961 Topps card. Hank passed away May 21 at the age of 94. He was a catcher. He played from 1953 and 1955 to 64 for the Reds, Indians, Pirates, Kansas City A's, Tigers, Baltimore Orioles, and Los Angeles Angels. He played in 608 games, hitting .243. He was named to one All-Star game in 1957, where he singled as a pinch hitter. After his playing career, he got into the insurance business. He was inducted into the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame in 1987. He wrote his memoir, A Pirate's Journey with Doug Williams, published in 2011, and he was the first Major League Baseball player that ever wore contact lenses. Our next player is Billy Gardner, pictured here on his 1983 Topps card. Billy passed away January 3 at the age of 96. He played second base, shortstop, and third base from 1954 to 1963 with the New York Giants, Orioles, Senators, Twins, Yankees, and Red Sox. He played 1,034 games, hitting .237. His best season was in 1957, where he tied Minnie Minoso for the league lead in doubles with 36, and he led the league in at-bats with 644, hitting .262. After his playing career, he became the Red Sox third base coach in 1965 to 66. He then managed several minor league clubs for the Red Sox through 1971. He then managed in the minors for the Royals from 1972 to 76. He was first base coach for the Expos in 77 and 78, then managed the minors for the Expos from 79 to 80. He joined the Twins as a coach in 1981 and became their manager mid-season and managed them until being fired in 1985. He scouted for the Twins after this and then managed part of the 1987 season for the Royals. He left baseball and worked for Grand Champion Foods in Norwich, Connecticut. His son Billy Gardner Jr. followed in his footsteps and also had a long career as a minor league manager. Our next player is Roberto Gomez, pictured here on his 2018 Choice Sacramento River Cats card. Roberto did not have a card issued during his playing career in the big leagues. He passed away December 8th. At the age of 35, he was the victim of a car crash in his hometown of Santiago in the Dominican Republic. He was a relief pitcher from 2017 to 18 for the Giants. He compiled a 1-0 record with a 7.98 ERA in 9 games. He played in the minors from 2010 to 2014 and then in 2017 to 18. Our next player is Wayne Graham, pictured here on his 1991 Mets Wiz card. He did not have a card issued during his playing career. He passed away September 3 at the age of 88. He was a pinch hitter, third baseman, and left fielder from 1963 to 64 for the Phillies and Mets. He played in a total of 30 games, hitting .127. He played in the minors from 1957 to 67, playing in 1,262 games, hitting .287. After his playing career, he coached high school baseball in the Houston area, taking 7 district titles and compiling a 98-13 record. He managed the Medicine Hat Blue Jays in 1981, then coached at San Jacinto Junior College 1981 to 1991, taking the team to the NJCAA Baseball World Series 7 times, winning 5 titles. He then coached for Rice University from 1992 to 2018, taking them to the College World Series 7 times and winning the title in 2003. Our next player is Jerry Grote, here pictured on his 1974 Topps card. Jerry passed away April 7 at the age of 81. He was a catcher from 1963 to 64 and 1966 to 1978, and then again in 1981. He played for the Houston Colt 45s, New York Mets, Los Angeles Dodgers, and Kansas City Royals. He played in 1,421 games, hitting .252. He was named to 2 All-Star teams in 1968 and 1974. He had a career-high .295 in 1975. He played in 4 World Series and hit .222 in 26 postseason games. After his playing career, he owned and operated many businesses near San Antonio, including a stint as a sales manager at a real estate company and running a meat market and a cattle ranch. He briefly worked as a color commentator for the AAA Round Rock Express of the Pacific Coast League in 2011 and 2012. He was inducted in the New York Mets Hall of Fame in 1992, the Texas Baseball Hall of Fame in 1991, and the San Antonio Sports Hall of Fame in 1998. Our next player is Don Gullett. Don passed away February 14 at the age of 73. He was starting pitcher from 1970 to 78 for the Reds and Yankees. He compiled a 109-50 record with a 3.11 ERA in 266 games. He led the league in winning percentage in 1971, where he was 16-6, 727 winning percentage, and in 1977, where he was 14-4 with a 778 winning percentage. He had a career-best 2.42 ERA in 1975 and a career-high in 18 wins in 1973. In the postseason, he compiled a 4-5 record with 3.77 ERA, appearing in 5 World Series. Gullett's career was cut short by a double tear in his rotator cuff. He had the second-best career winning percentage among left-handed pitchers with 100 wins, .686, just behind Whitey Ford's .690. He worked on his farm after his playing career, then returned to the Reds as a pitching coach from 1993 to 2005, and then later worked in their player development program. He was inducted into the Reds Hall of Fame in 2002. Our next player is Jim Hannon, pictured on his 1969 Topps card. Jim passed away February 8 at the age of 85. He was a relief and starting pitcher from 1962 to 1971 for the Senators, Tigers, and Brewers. He compiled a 41-48 record with a 3.88 ERA in 276 games. During his playing career, he had earned a Bachelor of Arts in Economics at Notre Dame and a master's degree in finance and investments at NYU, with his master's thesis written on the Major League Baseball's pension plan. He was on the Players Association Pension Negotiation Committee, which advised Martin Miller to reduce the players' minimum service requirement for pension eligibility from 5 to 4 years, thereby making more than 50% of the retired players at the time eligible for a pension. He was one of the founding members of the Major League Baseball Players Alumni Association in 1982 and was its first president from 82 to 86. He created a web of programs and benefits to assist former players. He became chairman of the Alumni Association's board from 1996 until his death. He worked as an executive at Reynolds Securities, Dean Witter Reynolds, and Morgan Stanley up until his death. Our next player is Bud Harrelson, pictured here on his 1972 Topps card. Bud passed away January 10 at the age of 79. He was a shortstop and second baseman, playing from 1965 to 1980 for the Mets, Phillies, and Rangers. He played in 1,533 games, hitting .236. He was named to 2 All-Star teams in 1970 and 71. He won a Gold Glove in 1971. He hit .200 in the postseason and appeared in 2 World Series. In 1970, he set a Major League Baseball record of 54 consecutive errorless games at shortstop that has since been broken. After his playing career, he became a first base coach for the Mets in 1982, then managed in the minors before becoming their third base coach in 1986, and then their manager in 1990 and 91. He was later co-owner of the Long Island Ducks in the Independent Atlantic League. Later in life, he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease and made numerous appearances at conferences and events to help raise awareness. Our next player is Mel Held. He's pictured here on a custom-made card that he signed himself. He did not have a card during his playing career. He passed away July 20 at the age of 95. He was a relief pitcher in 1956 for the Baltimore Orioles. He only pitched in 4 games, giving up 4 runs in 7 innings for a 5.14 ERA. He played in the minors from 1947 to 59, compiling a 131 and 117 record with a 3.59 ERA, including a 24-7, 2.87 ERA season in 1955. After his playing career, he was half owner of a hardware store in Eden, Ohio from 1960 until his retirement in 1992. He was inducted into the Northeast Indiana Baseball Association Hall of Fame in 1988. Our next player is Rickey Henderson, here pictured on his 1980 Topps card. Rickey passed away December 20 at the age of 65. He was left fielder from 1979 to 2003. He played for the A's, Yankees, Blue Jays, Padres, Angels, Mets, Mariners, Red Sox, and Dodgers. He played in 3,081 games, hitting .279 with 3,055 hits, 510 doubles, 297 career home runs, 1,115 RBIs, a Major League Baseball record 2,295 runs scored, a Major League Baseball record 1,406 stolen bases, and 2,190 walks, which is the record for most walks for a right-handed hitter. His career on-base percentage was .401. He set the stolen base record of 130 in 1982. He had the most career leadoff home runs to lead off a game with 81. He was named to 10 All-Star games, won 3 Silver Slugger awards, won a Gold Glove in 1981, won the American League MVP award in 1990, where he hit a career-high .325, .439 on-base percentage, and .577 slugging average. He led the league in steals 12 times, walks 4 times, runs 5 times, hits once in 1981, scored over 100 runs 13 times, stole more than 50 bases 14 times, stole more than 100 bases 3 times. He hit .284 in the postseason, stealing 33 bases in 60 games. After his playing career, he was a special instructor for the Mets in spring training and served as their first base coach in 2007. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2009, and the Oakland A's retired his uniform number 24. In later years, he served as a special assistant to the Oakland A's president. Our next player is Gail Henley. This is a custom card because Gail did not have a card during his playing career. Gail passed away November 25 at the age of 96. He was a right fielder and pinch hitter in 1954 for the Pittsburgh Pirates. He played in 14 games, hitting .300. He played in the minors from 1948 to 61, hitting .274 in 1,522 games. After his playing career, he managed in the minors for the Tigers from 1961 to 66, and then scouted for the Dodgers for 26 years. He also managed their short-season rookie league club for 6 seasons in the 1970s and early 80s, and then he later scouted for the Devil Rays. Our next player is Whitey Herzog, pictured on his 1983 Topps card. Whitey passed away April 15th at the age of 92. He was an outfielder, pinch hitter, and first baseman. He played from 1956 to 63 for the Washington Nationals, Kansas City Athletics, Baltimore Orioles, and Detroit Tigers. He played in 634 games, hitting .257. After his playing career, he was a scout for the Kansas City A's in 1964 and then a coach in 1965. He then moved to the Mets as a third base coach in 1966 and then became their director of player development from 67 to 72. He became manager of the Rangers in 1973. He was a third base coach for the Angels in 74 and was their interim manager for 4 games. He then managed the Royals from 1975 to 79, making it to the American League Championship Series in 76, 77, and 78. And finally, he managed the Cardinals from 1980 to 1990, winning 3 National League pennants in 82, 85, and 87, and the 1982 World Series. He was later the general manager of the Angels from 92 to 94. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2010. Our next player is Ken Holtzman, pictured on his 1974 Topps card. Ken passed away April 14 at the age of 78. He was a starting pitcher from 1965 to 1979 for the Cubs, A's, Orioles, and Yankees. He compiled a 174 and 150 record with a 3.49 ERA in 451 games. He was named to 2 All-Star teams in 1972, and 1973. In 72, he was 19-11 with a 2.51 ERA, and in 73, he was 21-13 with a 2.97 ERA. He had 31 career shutouts and 1,601 career strikeouts, with a career-high 202 in 1970. In the postseason, he was 6-4 with 2.30 ERA in 13 games and played in 3 World Series. His 174 wins are the most for a Jewish pitcher, just ahead of Sandy Koufax's 165. After his playing days, he was a stockbroker and he was in the insurance industry. He briefly returned to baseball in 2007, where he managed a team in the Israel Baseball League. Our next player is Jimmy Hurst, pictured here on his 1995 SP card. Let me straighten that out a little bit. Jimmy passed away July 6 at the age of 52. He was a right fielder in 1997 for the Detroit Tigers. He played in only 13 games, hitting .176, but 2 of his 3 hits were a double and a homer. He played in the minors from 1991 to 1999, then played in independent leagues from 2001 to 2008, including stints in Japan and Mexico. He was named the Atlantic League MVP in 2002. Our next player is Juan Jaime, pictured here on his 2012 Choice Lynchburg Hillcats card. He did not have a card during his major league career. He passed away December 27 at the age of 37 from a heart attack. He was a relief pitcher from 2014 to 15 for the Atlanta Braves. He compiled an 0-1 record with a 5.93 ERA in 18 games, struck out 19 batters in 13 2/3 innings. He played in the minors from 2006 to 2009, had Tommy John surgery, which kept him out of baseball from 2010 to 11, and then he played from 2012 to 2015 in the minors. From 2016 up until his death, he played in the winter leagues in the Dominican Republic, Venezuela, and Colombia, and he also played briefly with stints in the Czech Republic, Mexico, and Japan. Our next player is Joe J., pictured here on his 1961 Topps card. Joey passed away September 27 at the age of 89. He was a starting pitcher from 1953 to 55, and then 57 to 66 for the Milwaukee Braves, Cincinnati Reds, and Atlanta Braves. He compiled a 99-91 record with a 3.77 ERA in 310 games. He was named to 2 All-Star teams, both in 1961. He made his debut at the age of 17 and was the first Little Leaguer to make it to the majors. He had 2 consecutive 21-win seasons in 61 and 62, tying for the league lead in both wins and shutouts with Warren Spahn in 61. He finished his career with 999 strikeouts, just one short of 1,000. He played in the 1961 World Series for Cincinnati, going 1-1 with a 5.59 ERA. After his playing career, he was an active businessman, owning oil wells in West Virginia, part owner of taxi cab companies, a fleet of limousines, and a carpet cleaning business, and 2 building maintenance firms. Our next player is Johnny Jeter, pictured here on his 1974 Topps card. He passed away January 16 at the age of 79. He was an outfielder from 1969 to 1974 for the Pirates, Padres, White Sox, and Indians. He played in 336 games, hitting .244, playing in the minors from 1964 to 74. He later played in Mexico in 1977 and the Inter-American League in 1979. He was a graduate of Grambling State University and was inducted into the Grambling Legends Hall of Fame in 2021. He's the father of Sean Jeter, who played for the White Sox in 1992. And our last player for this video is Odell Jones, pictured here on his 1984 Topps card. Odell passed away March 20 at the age of 71. He was a relief pitcher that played in 1975, 77 to 79, 81, 83 to 84, 86, and 88 for the Pirates, Mariners, Rangers, Orioles, and Brewers. He compiled a 24-35 record with a 4.42 ERA in 201 games and had a career-high 10 saves in 1983. He played in the minors from 1972 to 1989 and then again in 1992. He played in winter ball for many years and played in 5 Caribbean series. He was inducted into the Caribbean Baseball Hall of Fame in 2024, and he's the second pitcher from the United States to be inducted into that Hall of Fame. So this concludes part 1 of players that passed away in 2024. Stay tuned for part 2, which will appear in a couple days. Thanks so much for watching. Rest in peace to all these players, and my condolences to their families and friends. Thank you for watching. Take care, everybody. Beep, beep.